On December 9, 2018, in a town called Auckland in New Zealand, specifically 19 kilometers from the city center, the body of a 22-year-old girl was found. Police found her body around 4 p.m. buried underground in the Waitaka Ranges mountain range. However, when they examined the body, everyone was astonished. There was no evidence of murder on her body, no scratches, no knife wounds, not even any signs of strangulation. It was as if she had been buried alive and died there. But the investigation revealed that it wasn't the case. The police and investigators thoroughly reviewed all the cameras in Auckland and interviewed all witnesses about this woman, but no one could recall who she was. This was because the girl clearly did not look like a New Zealander. Let me now tell you her backstory to make it clear, because I think you might not understand how she ended up in New Zealand, as well as who the real killer was. Hello everyone, welcome to the Paradox channel. Subscribe to the channel to watch interesting stories related to crime and incidents. Now, let's begin the video. Grace Emmy Rose Millane was born in 1996 in the town of Wickford in the southern English county of Essex, with a population of 33,486 people. Wickford is located approximately 30 miles east of London. It is a fairly small town with a main street containing numerous shops. It also has a swimming pool, a library, an open-air market, and good schools attended by children from affluent families. Grace attended one of the schools where she excelled in her studies. She was always active and successfully completed her education. This helped her gain admission to the University of Lincoln, where she pursued a bachelor's degree in advertising and marketing, and she graduated with distinction. Grace was the daughter of a British millionaire named David Millane who could afford to finance his daughter's round-the-world trip after her study. Grace's father never denied her anything from childhood, so she grew up without any mental or financial problems, and the journey was one of the gifts from her father. In 2018, Grace had the opportunity to travel to another country, and she flew off to travel around South America for 6 weeks. On November 20th, she flew to the North Island of New Zealand, where she planned to stay for 2 weeks and then continue her journey before returning to Wickford, where her loving family awaited her. But in the last few days, everything did not go as planned. When the girl arrived in New Zealand, out of boredom she changed her location on Tinder to New Zealand. Then she met a local man. Grace and he got along well in their conversation, and on December 1st the couple decided to meet because it was her birthday that day. So, on that day at 8:24 p.m., the couple went to a bar, where Grace sent a text to her friend, "I'm on a date with a guy who works as a manager in an oil company. There are so many cocktails here." And he's like, "Tomorrow is your birthday, we're getting drunk. I get along so well with him." They spent about an hour in the cafe, had dinner, chatted. In general, the man was clearly trying to gain her trust, and she believed him. They then went to the City Life Hotel to continue their evening together. It was fortunate that there were many cameras near the entrance and inside the elevator of the hotel, because strange things happened afterward. The couple entered through the main entrance at 21:40, and within a minute, they were inside the elevator. Those were Grace's last moments, and the elevator camera was the last one to capture her alive. The next morning at 8, the man enters the elevator alone and heads to the nearest shopping center, where at 8:07, he is also caught on camera as he goes up the escalator to the second floor of the shopping center. On the second floor of this shopping center, there was a small supermarket that sold grocery, everyday items, as well as suitcases with wheels. There he chose a nice suitcase, paid for it, and then went back to the hotel. After 20 minutes, at 8:32 he exits the hotel again and goes to another store. There he buys small items that fit into one bag and then returns to the City Life Hotel. And at 10:25 he leaves the hotel, and after 5 minutes he gets into a taxi to go to the nearest car rental to pick up a car for rent. There he paid for the service with a card and presumably left to wait for the car to be made available. He spent another 3 hours in the hotel and went to the nearest bar to have some alcohol. He leaves the bar around 15:57 and goes to pick up his car. At 17:41 he arrives at the hotel garage with a red Toyota and parks it. In the next scene, the man with a stoned face enters a store with fluorescent lighting and buys what appears to be cleaning supply. Soon after that, on the evening of December 2nd at 21:30, the killer enters the elevator with a suitcase containing Grace's remains, and it turns out he chose a large suitcase from the supermarket for this. He exits the hotel with the trolley, goes to his car to put the suitcase in the trunk, and then returns the trolley near the hotel entrance before driving away with his car. The last camera that captured the killer was on the way to the Waitaka Ranges. It was a camera from some hardware store selling construction goods. In this store, the killer was there at around 6 a.m. on December 3rd. In general, this was clearly an unprepared murder because a real prepared murderer would not spend the whole day wandering around a store and getting what they need. Especially the killer would have prepared the car in advance. Unfortunately, the police began the investigation after 3 days since the girl went missing, and before that no one suspected her disappearance except her parents. On December 2nd, Grace's mother sent a birthday greeting via messenger to her daughter, but when she didn't respond all day, her mother became worried and called the local police, who then relayed the information to the New Zealand police. On December 5th, the police were actively searching for the girl, believing she was still alive and not considering the case as something serious initially due to lack of evidence. However, after visiting the City Life Hotel as her last known location, on December 8th, the police announced that they were treating the case as a homicide investigation. Her body and the killer were immediately found. The body was discovered on December 9th in the Waitaka Ranges mountain range, and the killer was identified through the surveillance cameras in various establishments in the city. Through the investigation, the name of this guy was revealed. His name is Jesse Shane Kempson, and he was 28 years old. Kempson was born and raised in the Wellington region, on the North Island of New Zealand. After his parents separated when he was 9 years old, he was raised by his father and grandfather. His mother moved with his brother to Australia, while his father remarried, creating a blended family. In college, Kempson played softball at the regional representative level for several teams. He worked as a bartender and a builder laborer, and also lived in Sydney, Australia, from 2013 to 2016. Kempson lived separately from his family. He was also convicted of driving under the influence in New Zealand and was arrested for disorderly behavior in Auckland and Sydney. Kempson's paternal grandfather also claimed that he had a child when he lived in Sydney, but this is disputed by other relatives. It was revealed that just a few months before the murder of Grace, Kempson molested another British tourist on Tinder. He faced 8 charges of violence against women. 3 witnesses who also met Kempson through Tinder testified that he enjoyed masochistic acts, including choking. Among them is an accusation from his ex-girlfriend who revealed that he physically abused her, threatened her with a knife, and forced her into sexual acts. The killer himself claimed that he did not kill Grace, and they both agreed to certain activity. He also repeated that he was not guilty. Here's what really happened. After the couple left the bar and went to a hotel, Grace and Kempson were involved in an extreme activity that can't be talked about on YouTube. During this, Kempson, let's say, had his hands around Grace's neck and sent her to the other side. After her murder, Kempson searched online a few times for information on getting rid of bodies. He also watched adult films, and in the end took a picture of Grace's body before putting it in his trunk. Grace's lifeless body lay inside the house for a whole day while Kempson searched for a way to dispose of it. Throughout the day, he bought the necessary items to cover his tracks. He got a suitcase from the supermarket to discreetly move the body out of the hotel, rented a car to take her out of town and bury her. Additionally, he purchased cleaning supplies to tidy up the room and eliminate any lingering odors. He did everything and successfully got rid of the body, but soon after it became evident that he overlooked the fact that cameras had been recording him from various angles throughout the entire day. He was found within a week. The police didn't go through much trouble. They just needed to question some witnesses, check street cameras, house cameras, establishments, and so on. In the end, it all led to the fact that now the whole world knows how he tried to deceive the girl and hide her body without being prepared. In the end, the trial lasted for 3 weeks. While Jesse Kempson's lawyer argued that he was not guilty of Grace Millane's murder, justifying it as a tragic accident, and the attempt to hide the body was simply a panic-driven mistake, all the witnesses and Grace Millane's parents believed that he should be punished more severely. In New Zealand, murder is considered the most severe crime, carrying a mandatory punishment of life imprisonment with a minimum non-parole period of 10 years, except in cases where such a sentence would be clearly unjust, such as mercy killings. Judges have the discretion to impose a longer period of non-parole detention at their discretion. Therefore, on February 21, 2020, Kempson was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum non-parole period of 17 years. In court, Millane's mother told Kempson that her daughter died in terror and alone in your room. The tears I shed never seemed to end at the thought that I will never have the opportunity to kiss my brightness goodbye, she said. Feel free to share your thoughts on this story in the comments. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the like button to support my channel. If you're into this genre of videos, consider subscribing to the Paradox channel. Thanks to everyone for watching.